Hello, and welcome to Temporal Horizons Summer Podcast. Please enjoy the show.
All right, welcome to the summer podcast once again. I'm your host, Pauline Pericaud, and I'm welcoming today Iulia Pal. So Iulia is a Romanian-born actor and multifaceted artist. She moved to London at a young age of 19 to pursue her passion. She graduated from the London College of Music in 2020. Since graduating, Iulia played the role of Mephistopheles in a French theatre production, has co-written and filmed an original short, Dani-El, currently in post-production, and has performed in other independent shorts. As an artist, she has exhibited at the Holy Art Gallery and created a series of unique illustrations for Dracula and audio miniseries. Iulia is especially passionate about art bringing people and cultures together. Iulia, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
I can't wait to talk to you about so many things. We have met before, obviously, but it's been a while and we had talked about projects. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. How are you doing at the moment?
I'm doing good. So the focus for me right now is the Dani-El film that you mentioned. We have filmed it, which is amazing, and I'm really grateful. We did a crowdfunding before we filmed, and so many people were so generous, and it's due to them that we were able to do it. And now we have to go into another crowdfund, just because we absolutely want to do the best quality, and we want to submit it to a lot of festivals. So, we're again asking for people's generosity, but I do really think it's a project that deserves it because it breaks a lot of boundaries about different cultures and different themes. So I think I really believe in it.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, we have to believe in our projects, otherwise they wouldn't come to fruition. So you said you wanted to bring it to festivals, so we'll put the crowdfunding link obviously with
thank you so much
and underneath the video and on Instagram as well. But so where does it come from? How did you come to create this short?
So I was living with one of my actor friends, Catalina Croitoro, that's her name, but we all call her Cat. And we were both out of uni. It was COVID, not a lot of things going around during this time, as many people know, especially in the arts culture. So we sat down in our living room and we were like, girl, we need to write something for us. Like, we need to actually produce the work that we want to be in, because there's not anything going out there. And we sat down, we really wanted to do a Romanian script, and we wanted to do a story about Romanians living in London, but that isn't very focused, or not solely focused, on their immigration story, because I think that's a lot of the things that you see. But we're so much more than just the fact that we're immigrants. So we're both LGBT community. We wanted to do something LGBT, and we were searching for ideas, and we thought the trans community isn't really well represented. And then there was a thing that went on. I can't remember the exact year, but the Romanian government wanted to put in a law where they stopped, like, basically they wanted to make it illegal for people to talk about gender identity in schools. So like, you couldn't go to teachers to talk about it, it would be illegal. So we were like, that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's not all right to curb free speech, and especially people that are so young, they need a space to sort of figure out who they are. I mean, is that really their identity? If it is, like, how can they get support? And sometimes families are very supportive, sometimes they're not. So if you're going to block that for them in schools as well, where are their safe spaces? There was a petition going around. Obviously me and Kat signed it, a lot of other people did, and the president stepped in and he stopped this law from, becoming a thing. So that's very good. So yeah, with that happening and the underrepresentation, we thought that a trans story would be very good to do. And, Kat identifies as non-binary, so she felt that she could play that character. And I was like, cool, so that's kind of where the idea came from. Yeah.
Brilliant. So very organically
Yeah.
from Tolkien and real concerns nowadays.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So that'll reflect a lot on that. Let me try my train of thoughts. So can you tell us more about the film itself? Do you know, because it's post-production right now?
No, we can. I mean, there's a trailer out there. You guys can watch it if you click the link that Pauline mentioned. So this young girl, her name's Dani, she runs away from home and she comes to London to live with her brother, who already lives here. He works as a construction worker, and she meets his cannabis dealer, mother, who is another Romanian woman, a young woman, who is very into the LGBT scene and sort of takes Dani under her wing, and then a little romance starts to bloom, and it all seems to be blossoming and she's living her best life. But then the identity issues that she struggles with are always in the background, and they realize that they're not cis, and how does that affect her relationships and her newfound love, because it's quite fresh, and yeah, it's not there's a lot of problems that can arise there. So we're sort of exploring the challenges of what might happen when you are coming into your identity and how people around you respond to that, because it is a sort of mourning of who you were before. You have to let go of your previous identity to blossom into the new person that you are. And even though you've already felt like that always inside, it's morphing, like that sort of caterpillar that morphs into the butterfly, that it's sort of that cocoon stage where you have to present your identity outwards, and how all that can affect everything around you. So,
Nice. So a mix between a coming of age and a coming out story, really.
yeah,
Sort of.
yeah, it really is.
Very nice. Yeah, and it sounds great. And I think a lot of people are struggling towards that. They don't know how to comprehend it sometimes, in a way. So if your film can help them like see how that could happen, maybe that could be a solution.
And I think, this is something that I think Dani struggles with as a character. They in themselves know who they are. It's just about how will people accept that? How can I live with that, given my background, given where I'm coming from, given, everything that's around me, and given the fact that I'm not on stable grounds right now. Like, I've just moved to a new country. How do I, they've got a lot of things thrown at them. Yeah,
Definitely. Well, it sounds like something to look forward to. Definitely. How long will it be? How long the short will it be? Do you know?
so
Already.
because we've explored sort of two relationships, the one with the brother and the one with the girlfriend. It was very hard to get it down. It's very good for festivals to have it to around 10-15 minutes. That's like the golden time that you could have it at. We've had drafts that were like 30 minutes, so we've had to cut a lot of things. We've got it down now to about like 20 something minutes, which is good. I don't think we'll make it to 15 because we need to cut a lot of the meaty drama, and we don't want to do that. We want to give people the drama. So yeah, no, I think it's going to be around 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's a good length. Give them the drama, even if it's a bit longer. Just give us the drama,
No, we're confident in it. We think it's very strong, so I don't think they'll mind. I hope they won't. I hope they want more.
I'm sure we will. Definitely. Very good. Perfect. So do you have a list of festival you want to present your film to?
I mean, my dream since the first day has always been BFI Flair. I've watched like all of their I watched all of their shorts. There's some like really good ones out there, and from so many like different cultures and backgrounds. So it's BFI has always been sort of open to showing films from everywhere. They do a lot of runs. They had like a Japanese run recently. I love that. Like, I love seeing films from all over the world and seeing what people's perspectives are and how we're different but not that different. So that's definitely one that we want to do. We're gonna try a lot of different ones. I mean, we're gunning for like Sundance and stuff like that. So rain dance, it would be a dream. I don't know, we'll have to see. But yeah, that's what we're gunning for.
Good. It's always good to go big and bold.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, you can't achieve what you want. Definitely. Good. Yeah, and BFI, you're right. It's so like it opens so much doors to multicultural artists. I love the BFI as well. And you spend a lot of time there, don't you, at the BFI itself?
Yeah, no, I do go there quite a lot. I used to work, I've got a muggle job like a lot of actors do. I used to work in the National Theatre, and I used to just pop around to the BFI for like a little film sometimes. Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, your lunch break at
I
the BFI.
I wish my lunch break was that long, Pauline.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
Um,
but no, yeah, good projects for Dani-El then.
yeah.
We're looking forward to see where it goes. Um,
Yes.
yeah, brilliant. So, in your bio, you said that you're passionate about art, bringing people and cultures together. So
Mm,
obviously, Dani-El is part of it.
yeah.
But you also do a lot of other arts. So can you tell us
I
more
do.
about everything else?
So I've painted ever since I was like a very, very little kid. My grandma was actually painting with me when I was young. I would learn words and then she would draw them and I would draw after them. So it was like, then there was a whole phase where I drew Powerpuff Girls a lot. I used to love them. And then my family sort of noticed that, I do that quite a lot. So they were like, oh, well, maybe we should nurture that. So they sent me to, it was kind of like I don't know if you have this sort of thing in France or here. It was called like a cultural palace. It wasn't really a palace. It was just like a place where they used to do a lot of activities for kids. And this teacher, Mia Bana, she's amazing. And I remember the first lesson that I ever had there. I entered the room and she was like, okay, guys, painting. You know how people tell you pigs can't fly? Well, in painting, you can do anything. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I painted a cat with wings and I was so happy. I'll never forget that. So that's where my journey started. And like I've drawn ever since. I thought about doing it professionally, but then my painting sort of became an outlet for me to express what I'm going through and my emotions. And it just felt, when you're a teenager, you go through a lot of identity crises. So my paintings turned more expressive and more dark and less sort of like a conventional thing that you would put in your house or something commercial. So I thought to myself, okay, well, maybe, I love doing other things. I love performing. So maybe that will be just a hobby for me. But then actually you guys with Temporal showed me that that might not be true. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity that Harry gave me to do illustrations for Dracula, because that was amazing. I could do it, and it was, it was put to good use, and someone was, using it for something, and I could, it was, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what painting would take me. I'm quite a sort of, how do you like an analog person? I don't know. Quite traditional. I like doing art with my hands. I like doing it like material. I like to use colors. I like to feel the canvas, feel the colors. Doing it digitally is not something that always excited me. And I think the world is moving in a sense where you sort of need to be a professional. You sort of need to move into the digital space. So maybe I need to get out of my little box and be a bit more open-minded, or maybe I need to find my niche. But that's the sort of step that I'm at with my art at the moment. I'm struggling moving it into a digital space, if that makes sense.
It is a struggle. I mean, for artists in general, I think you're right that we see so much happening digitally right now in every field possible, like, and
Yeah.
AI is like taking over.
Oh no, crazy.
Even for actors.
Did you see the LA things that's going on with AI now? Like all the
Which
protests.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah, in
strikes.
Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, the strikes. I was
Crazy.
going to ask you, like, what do you thought of that? But there's so much at stake for artists because of AI, because there's no law yet about the restriction for
It's so
AI.
crazy.
I mean, actors are being um, motion captured
Yeah.
against their not against their will, but without knowing that it's for the use of using AI later.
Yeah.
So it is a big deal, and you're right in questioning where your art can go if it goes digitally. But I personally, like you said, I think you need to find your niche, and it might not be digital, because who knows, like, you never know, the internet might crash one day. I'm not gonna jinx it, but
I don't know,
but
sometimes I hope that. Not gonna lie.
yeah,
No.
we do like a traditional art,
Yeah.
and I think still a lot of people do so. And we, like you did for Temporal and for Dracula, your art was not digital. It went digital after, because we the project was digital, but your original art was digital. And my question was to you is, are you still selling some illustrations? Do you still have some to sell?
Well, I mean, I'm doing really bad with Instagram marketing, so sorry, that was probably a very loud laugh. Sorry for the viewers if I broke your eardrums. Yeah, no,
We'll bring
this
it
is
down
it.
in post.
I absolutely need to get more with the algorithms, and I watch sometimes. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, but Instagram reels get me sometimes, and I love to watch those like videos of artists making paintings and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I could do that stuff to market my art. But then I kind of like take a sip of tea and I'm like, yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's something that I really need to work towards. But I just have this aversity towards everything going so digital, like it really struck me when suddenly we changed companies at work, and they were like, oh, you have to sign in now using your finger, and I was like, oh, like there's not an app anymore, I have to, and they're scanning the vein of my finger, and I was just like, it's a lot, and that's all in the digital database. I kind of consent and agree, and then it goes into the ether, and I don't really know what
And not really knowing the terms and conditions. And
yeah, right, we sign all this stuff all the time, so I guess, yeah, I don't know, I'm in two minds about it. I kind of want to go with the trend, because I know that will be fruitful for me, and that's how things are in the market space right now, with not just with art, but with a lot of businesses. And I think people are using it for good as well. Like I see a lot of sustainable businesses, and I see a lot of stuff that's good out there, and people talking about mindfulness, psychologists talking about how you can live a more peaceful life and accept parts of yourself and accept conflict with others, and all that stuff circles around the same spaces, where everything else goes on with AI. And so I don't know, it's really it's a tricky one. It can be used for good and for bad.
It is a tricky one. Yeah, there's always things that we don't know how to use yet. Is always going to be good and bad until we can figure it out. You're right.
Yeah.
I was going to mention, because you mentioned Instagram, but how does your real feed looks like? It must be a lot of painters. What
I
do you
don't
have in
know.
your?
I don't understand. Like, I feel like from day to day, like it changes drastically. Like, I'll have loads of painters one day, and then the next day I'll just have loads of memes. And then I've been sharing with my partner a lot of, like, those those American Idol videos of like people singing. Yeah, and sometimes it's just cats. I love cats, and yeah, I don't know. This is what I mean. It's very random, and sometimes the algorithm takes you to routes where you don't really know. They just pop out of nowhere. Or you say something at work to a colleague, and then whoop, is there a commercial for that?
Yeah, definitely. It is a strange thing, algorithm and social media as well for artists. I
Yeah.
think is a tricky one,
Mm.
because as artists we are our own business. So to
Yes.
market that is a
Mm.
it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And
Yeah.
are you looking into maybe make it a bit more of a profitable business then, or are you still figuring out
I mean,
your areas of?
I'm still figuring out how it works, girl. I'm not gonna lie. I'm such a granny with these things. I really am.
Well, if any generous soul who's listening who likes social media marketing, please go
Yeah.
to Iulia. She'll be
Yeah,
very
check me
happy.
out. Send me a message. Be like, oh,
Yes,
I know how to explain this. I need a crash course. I
slide into
really
her DM.
do. Uh,
Yeah,
no, yeah.
perfect. I wanted to go back to. I'm interested in knowing you moved to London at
Yes.
19. Was it for the London College of Music, or was it for something else?
Yes. So I moved to study here. And I was in a sort of bubble for 3 years, the uni bubble, which was very nice and very cozy. And then the world spat me out into the pandemic, which was not very nice and cozy. But my uni days were great. I wasn't really anyone from uni will say this. I was working really hard, like very hard. In second year, I think I was there virtually every single day, like in the weekend as well. And I loved it. I loved learning about acting. I loved all the projects, all the texts, all the challenges. Um yeah, my course leader was very good. He was amazing, and he brought so many. I got to have teachers that were from a lot of different backgrounds. I got to have teachers that were women. It was great. I was living my best life in uni. So, but yeah, no, it was because I was in that bubble and I was so distracted, and I was sort of living, before uni in high school in Romania, I was studying biology and chemistry and maths. And I was doing a lot of extracurricular stuff that were to do with art and performing and acting. But every day I had to go to school and do something that I wasn't passionate about. I thought it was very interesting, and I admire people that go down that route. And in a way, I wish I could do it, but I can't. And so coming to London and doing that full time, I didn't have to worry about microorganisms and photosynthesis and all this stuff. I was just like, wow, it's amazing. So yeah, that sort of kept me going through that first few years of missing my family and missing all my friends. It was like I knew no one. It was so scary. It was terrifying. But I guess
Yeah,
I never dwelled on that fear because there was just so much positive. There were a lot of positive things going around for me during that time. So I guess it kept me going. And my parents are amazing. They're the best. Like they nurture me and they support me with this. And I know it's crazy. And sometimes I think, wow, they just got this like crazy artist child, and they they didn't expect that. But they did a great job to raise me, and to support me. And yeah, they were supportive in that time as well.
Are none of them artists? Do they?
Well, I mean, my dad loves music, and I think he would have liked to be a musician. It's just when he grew up, it was during communist Romania, so that sort of path wasn't very tracked down. And if you did go down that path, you had a lot of restrictions in terms of what you could do with your art, because it was very censored. And it was, if you went astray from that, your life was threatened. So he loves music, and that's always been his passion. But he's a chemist, and my mom did textiles in uni, but she ended up being a financial analyst because she knew how to work computers when computers weren't really a thing. So she went, yeah. So, financial analyst and a chemist and manager, both
Multi-talented artist.
That just wants to like paint and scream on a stage with lights pointed at her, No, but they honestly, they're great, and they've been very understanding and very open to me, and I know that I'm very lucky for that, that they were always like, it's ultimately your life and you have to make decisions for it. I know a lot of families don't have that, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just different. And I think that helped me grow as opposed to stifle me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. And it's great that you have that support. Like you said, not everyone has it. And not even just artists, but everyone in general with their families. So it's great. I hope you don't miss them too much, because I know how hard it is to be far away from family. But
Yeah,
I think COVID was probably the ultimate test to see that.
I mean, I don't know, thank God I was so lucky. Even in COVID, I managed to go back for Christmas, which was
that's good.
miraculous. Honestly, I was like, oh yeah. So I managed to. Traveling in COVID was interesting. I think I blacked out that experience. But no, yeah. Yeah, of course I miss them. Of course I miss them.
Yeah. And what about like, so I interject so many words that are useless when I speak, but let me ask you about Brexit. How has it affected you living in London?
Well, I mean, again, I was so lucky, and thank God I'm spiritual. But I was one of the last generations. I think I was the last generation that could come to uni, and I still got the student loan. After that, people couldn't anymore. And I remember coming here, and it was still fresh. Brexit was still fresh. And I remember talking to, young British students, and they were like, when my mom found out about it, she cried. Like, so many people were like, I'm so sorry. It's not how I feel. It's just, so I think there's a schism. There's a lot of people that are not happy about it. And I think there's some people, or I've met certain people, I wouldn't like to speak generally, but I've met some people that wanted Brexit for economic reasons, or I don't really know exactly how the campaign went. I was so young. And I couldn't really understand much about it. But, they wanted it for sort of more economic and financial reasons, rather than in commerce and all that stuff, rather than being averse to immigrants, But I guess now, we can sort of see the economy going a bit. And I don't know if, there's a lot of things, you can't blame it on Brexit. There's so many things going on right now, the war, and, but there's definitely a factor in it, I think. And, when it comes to how people feel about immigrants, I think we need to sort of widen it not just to think about Brexit, but because that affects Europeans a lot, but it's about immigration in general. And that's something that I'm passionate about. And I don't know, it's just, the whole thing that went on with Rishi Sunak and the people coming on boats and him sending them back. And I'm looking at the TV and I'm thinking, your parents are immigrants, like you wouldn't be here. And I know they came in different circumstances, but and it's just a big wormhole of
immigration is, in the end, immigration is not the same for everyone. And at the same time, it's still immigration.
Yeah.
So whether it was 40, 80 years ago or now, I think, countries just manage it in a way that I don't know if they think about it much on how to.
I don't know. I don't understand this sort of need to close everything up. The world's always been so free. The world's always been a mixing pot of cultures, and people have, went from one place to the other, and empires have clashed, and like it's always been movement. Why would you stop that movement? For what reason?
Yeah.
Especially when we live in a society where we're all so connected. Like we were talking about the internet and all this, like we're all so connected. Why stop the movement now?
Yeah, and there's so much possibility to travel anyway nowadays, way more than before. Like planes, you can take a plane and be in a few hours on another continent.
Like we've actively built things to make this movement that has always been there easier, and then it just feels like exclusivist when you're closing your borders to the people that you think shouldn't be there, but it's just not. I don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
And I say, what were we gonna say?
No, I was going to say I see you a little as a humanist rather than a countryist, if I can say that. I don't even know that's not a word, but as a people of planet Earth, not just one country.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're so interconnected, and commerce, everything. But then you can't just focus on that and not let families like come and be together, or not let people go away from a situation that is not good for them anymore, especially when people's lives are threatened. Who are you to say no, you can't? You don't know what they're going through. It's not. Yeah.
And there's no, continue, sorry.
No, I've met people. I know a lot of people that left from their countries and are not European, and it's just sometimes it breaks up families. Sometimes the journeys that the people go through are so traumatic. They've had to be stationed in so many places. They've gone through all this journey, and then people are risking their lives on boats, and you're gonna say no. And it's like, at the same time, you go in the British Museum and it's just, what is inside there? That's another thing I'm really passionate about. And it's like, well, I mean, I guess you can move their culture around, but not the people. Like, that's not fair. You can't just keep the culture and not the people. The culture comes with the people.
That's a very good point of view. I really like this idea that we are so willing to learn about cultures through museums and through this, but not from the people who actually live this culture.
Of course. And it's not, I don't think it's fair.
No, I think the thing is, culture, personally, I think I see that people like culture when it's in the past.
Yeah.
And the culture at the present is, I think it terrorizes a few people. Like the culture at the present terrorizes people.
I see it more as, when we speak about, art, for example. Art is part of a culture. The art is beautiful and it's refined, but the pain, the reality of it is not so easy, like, but then you have to accommodate both, because you have to realize that all that beautiful thing that you see came from somewhere and came from someone's real experiences, and you can't just take away what they've produced and not take care of them as a person, or individuals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I think it has to be spoken from the people and showed from the people who.
And the people need to be bolstered up. I mean, there's I'm not saying there hasn't been progress with this. I mean, we see it more nowadays, and it's been part of the conversation. But I do think the people need to be bolstered up, and their voices need to be heard. Not just, and where that piece of art came from that they did. And, if they want to bring their families to a better place, let them,
Yeah.
It's one that's like, and not just the people that do the art, but the people that inspired the art, which, maybe people, simple people. But if they're trying to get somewhere, allow them. And that's my political speech for the day.
Exactly. I was going to say. Political parenthesis.
Yeah.
But it's good because politics are so involved into everything, and we have to get involved as well too. We have to have a say.
Yeah.
So,
and I like art the most when it is political and or social, or is trying to do something more than just entertain. It's actually trying to like bring light about something, or talk about injustice, or try to show the more unnurtured parts of human beings and how they interact. I think that's when art, it's at its best, when it has a powerful message behind it that comes from, and oftentimes that does come from political injustice and oppressive regimes.
yeah.
And
I think I think we're on this path where you probably are, but would you qualify yourself as like so we have this phrasing in France, which is engaged artist, which doesn't translate as well in English.
I think, how do you say in France? How do you say in French?
Artiste engagé.
Engagé, okay. I think I know what you mean, yeah.
Which means an artist that wants to partake social issues, partake societal issues, and politics, and talk about issues that they encounter in their daily lives through their art. So I feel like you are part of this group.
I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be. That's always how I've sort of felt. And it comes right back to what we were talking at the beginning with Dani-El, and why did we write this story? It was because of that. It was because of something very real that happened in Romania. And then, there's so many other things that I see around me that I could just talk about,
That's great. That means lots of art coming.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope I can carry on to nurture it. Sometimes the practicalities of it is hard to deal with. I think everyone who's an artist who is listening knows that.
Yeah, lots of boiling ideas. And actions are hard. Actions are the hardest to take.
Yeah,
for sure. Okay, let's bring the mood a little bit up.
Okay.
from all the world issues, let's talk more about you, Iulia.
Okay, tell me.
I mean, we're talking about you, but I wanted to know
Yes.
one thing because you're so talented in like so many aspects, I wanted to know from all the talents that you've got, do you have at the moment a favorite, or does it rotate from one to another?
I don't know if I can I don't know if I can rank them. I guess it depends where I'm at as a person. Like for example, I do acrylic paintings. I can only ever do an acrylic painting when the inspiration is given to me. And that doesn't happen very often. I produce one like sometimes like 3 in a year, 4 in a year, sometimes like 1 in a year, like and then with acting, it's sort of in a way it's not so much my choice, because it's a lot of, you sort of have to wait for the right opportunities. And I did create my own opportunity, but then I did have to wait to find the producer and, find the right director, and then, find the funding. And then, you need to find the locations, and then, people are working. So it's like, even when I do have a choice, I don't have a choice. Um, and but I guess acting's always been, it's a weird one. It's like, um, it's always been, it's always like the one that's in the front of my mind the most, because I guess also because I've made it to be a choice of career. But it's like, I think it's also because it's so intertwined with life, and with, like you almost can't switch off from it. With writing, I have to make a sort of conscious decision to write. I have inspirations from my life all the time, but then I just actually need to talk to myself and be like, okay, we start now. You have to write every day. I don't care if you write 2 words or like 1 word, you have to write every day, because otherwise it just doesn't get done. Um, but yeah, it all depends on my moods and what's going on in my life. I think when I'm stressed out, painting's the one that I go to, because it's always been just so therapeutic. I have this sort of like visual diary that I keep. I write in it sometimes, but I like to do sketches, and that one's just like always there. I always like, if there's something going on, and I have a feeling that's strong, I just go sketch it and done. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I can classify them. They're different facets of me. They're different like sides of the person that I am, and they all sort of inform each other and work together, and they all serve a different side of me, and it's very emotional at the same time. I guess the only one that is more analytical and excites me on a mental level is the writing. I don't know if that answers your question.
No,
um
it does. Thank you. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, yeah, it's hard to rank, and like you said, it comes with phases,
Mm,
within your life, your daily life. Um, but yeah, I do get that writing has to be um nearly an appointment every day in your calendar. I'm going to
yeah.
write at that time. Otherwise, it's so easy to, particularly as actors as well, to
Mm,
free dive into lots of things without putting anything down.
yeah.
Mm. Do you do anything, because you, as you said, as an actor, you have to wait for opportunities. Do you do anything to on your craft every day, or weekly? Do you have
I mean,
routines?
I used to be in uni this very scheduled person, but I think now in my life I'm more spontaneous. um I do like to read. I've always liked to read. I know for some actors that doesn't work, because it's quite brainy. Some people just need to go ahead and do it. But I do actually like to read acting books. Um yeah. Um what's her name? Bella Merlin. she does a lot of stuff that you can do yourself. Yeah, I guess my acting process is very intertwined with music. So for me, sometimes, this what I do when I have a character. I make a playlist for the character. They need to have a playlist, and then I daydream a lot of what goes on in their life. So I guess for me, listening to music and daydreaming and trying to feel every style and genre of music, every artist have a different, they all come from their souls, from the inspiration that comes to them, and they have a different feel to it. It's a different embodiment of what it is to be human. And I think trying to feel the music, I don't know if it makes sense, but it just it does train a sort of muscle, at least for me, to be able to put on a coat of someone different. Like my body would move and behave quite differently, going down the tube, even when I'm listening to rap, or when I'm listening to rock music, or when I'm listening to classical music, or some lo-fi. It's all different. So I think that's the way I sort of, yeah, for me, music is a big thing, and reading books on the tube. But I don't like set out times, and I guess I'm trying to be more free flowing in my life. Yeah.
That's good. It's good recommendations for people who don't know where to start as well. And I agree, music is a big thing for me as well as an actor. But I think it's so linked to emotions,
Yeah.
music, that it's an easy way to kind of approach a character. Not an easy way, but it is
it's a way
it's
in.
yeah, it's a
Your
way in. It's a way in. It's an access. Let's just get that after anyway. But yeah, music definitely. And I read books as well. What's your most recent one you've read?
Screen Acting Workshop. That's the book. Mel Churcher. Yeah, that was very good. That actually helped me a lot with Dani-El.
Oh, good. How did it help?
Because it's just a good book. Oh, and what's my favorite acting book is Declan Donnellan, The Actor and the Target.
Why is that your favorite?
That might change when you ask me next week. No, I'm joking. I can't have favorite things. Declan Donnellan, I swear that book helped me emotionally in my life at the time that I was reading it as well. It's just the way he talks about how to approach human beings, and the way he just describes some very true things. Like, for example, you know how we're taught objectives, and it's all very like black and white, sort of like, this is your want and it's really important. I'm not saying throw that away, please don't. It's very good and it helps you a lot. But he sort of introduced that sort of notion to me that people can be contradictory things at the same time. Like, they can want something very badly, but then part of them doesn't want it at the same time. And it was just like that sort of realization of, because I think you can get into quite triangular, like one, don't know how to call it, like tunnel vision. That's the one. Like, you can get into such a tunnel vision with objectives sometimes, when actually, like, we as humans we're not really aware of our objectives on a day-to-day, and sometimes they shift internally a lot. And it's, he also, the techniques he gives to put things outside of yourselves, like the target. He talks about the target and what the target can be, and it's outside of yourself. It just makes you more active, which is great for acting. But yeah, the Mel Churchill book was very good as well. It was really reassuring. There was this thing, an image that was just like, it's now stuck in my mind and I want to share it with you. It's the iceberg. Like, when you work on a character, it's like an iceberg, and then, you know, the top is what you see in the performance, but there's all this underlying work that goes on. But the iceberg, that's the thing, you only have so much control over it, because a lot of that is under the water is who you are as a person, and you can't change that. That's always going to come into your characters. This is why, you know, being something completely separate from yourself is I don't think it's really attainable as actors. We have to accept the reality that we do bring ourselves, because there's so much about the unconscious, and there's so much about how our lives shape us every day. As much as we try to neutralize and become this new person, it's just not gonna work. And I think, but there was also a thing about how work you do on other characters adds to the iceberg, and then it helps with other characters in the future. So it's almost like, you know, like nothing you've ever, no exercise, no little workshop, not anything you've done in uni, or if you didn't go to uni, like not anything that you've done in your living room, or, you know, in the workshops that you go to, like any work you do on characters informs what you're going to do in the future, and you just keep growing. And I was told once, I can't remember by who, this was back in Romania, I was very young. I wanted to go to acting courses, and I think I was trying to find them, and there was this guy, and I remember being told like, oh, you know, it's great that she's into this, but she's just so young to act now. And I was just like, oh, what do you mean? But I think what he was getting at is that, you know, that iceberg sort of, the more things you experience in your life, the more you add to the iceberg, and then you can bring it into your performance, and you don't even know you're doing it. So I'm not saying anyone's too young to act, but the older they are, the more nuanced they'll be. And that's just a reality of things, I think. And I think in uni, as much as I was a go-getter and I went 100%, and I think that was great for me at this time. I think now I'm sort of realizing that, you know, I have to live my life, and we all have to live our lives, and that's going to inform our acting so much more. And I think there's a lot of pressure, especially for trained actors, to keep training ourselves and keep doing it and keeping that same uni vibe. But it's like, no, actually, like, you've done the work, you've got the diploma, that's not erased. Of course, like, keep up your condition, especially if you want to perform on stage. It's very different. You have to be physically, your instrument has to be attuned, as pretentious as that sounds. It's true. But, you know, like, it's not just about keep going at it, it's about letting go and sort of letting life affect you, because it is you know, art affects life, and it's, you know, we can't close off these parts of ourselves, because then we become stifled, and it's
Yeah, I love what you're saying. It's so inspirational. It is, and it's true that I've heard quite a few artists saying that the moment that they started having a personal life on the side of being an actor, and actually it becoming two parts of themselves, like joined, just transformed their life completely and their acting completely. So it's true, and I think it's inspirational as well, what you said at the beginning, that there's, the more you grow, the bigger the iceberg becomes. For like older actors as well, who are starting or restarting acting, because a lot of them are worried that they're too old to act, and
No,
you're never too old.
but
Never,
that time
never.
is not lost. This is what I'm talking about, guys. That time is not lost. You've been building your iceberg all this time. And even
Exactly.
if you're not trained, let's say you're like, I don't know, there's so many people with so many different stories. Even if you're in your 50s and you're starting this out, you've lived a life, you know, like, you just need to learn all these technical things. And, you know, if you're passionate about it, it's a muscle that can be trained like anything, you know. But, you know, never, it's about bringing yourself to it a lot, I think. and letting yourself be free and like play like a child. That's also important. If you're doing it in your 50s, you still need to be able to play like a little kid.
Yeah, just remember the kid that you were is still
Yeah.
there. I like to think that we are not the number of our age, we're the accumulation of it. So we're still 1 year old and we're still 6 year old and we're still 19.
Mm.
So we can just jump back then. We're still this person.
I
just
mean,
simulated.
you're gonna start me off on this really philosophical tangent about what is time and is time
Do we have
linear?
time? That could be the 10. That could be the 10 minutes.
But no, you're right. It's like all the versions of you are in you at any given time because you're just growing. It's like the tree stump and the tree rings. You can see that initial ring always if you cut the tree down, right? It doesn't disappear. It's so metaphorical.
Oh wait, I was gonna say I was trying to unmute, but yes, lots of metaphors for today. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. We're right on time. Look at that. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Iulia.
Thank
That
you.
was a great time spent with you.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. I hope
I
our
loved it. Yeah.
viewers, listeners learned a lot. I'm sure they did. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on your future projects. I didn't ask more about because we are still in the project of Dani-El, but hopefully, yeah, we'll see more from you very soon.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to get on social media, guys. I'm gonna try to be. I think my last post was last year. I'm not even joking. I'm so bad. But at the same time, I kind of like being this person that's just like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're free and social media doesn't control you.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it controls all of us a little bit because we get those notifications all the time and it gets into our brains.
One advice, guys, just take these notifications out.
Yeah.
I have no notifications apart from call and messages on my phone. That's all.
Yeah.
Not even emails.
I took my emails off because I was spending too much time on that app.
Yeah. And it's stressful. It is stressful.
And it's mostly just like broadbands that are trying to get you to switch your Wi-Fi. And it's like, we've got this deal. And I'm like, do I really need to know this? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely don't use notifications anymore.
No.
But yeah, Insta art by Iulia Pal.
Yeah.
But we'll put the link. We'll put the links, everything
Thank
down,
you.
so you guys can go and check that out.
Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much, Iulia. That was so cool to have you today.
It was really cool. It's the first time I'm doing this, guys. You're opening so many doors for me, Temporal. But no, it's fun. It's
another piece of your iceberg.
Yeah. It is now.
I like that. First, we have sometimes a few phrases. Today is be an iceberg, I guess.
Yeah.
Or have your house is your iceberg.
Trust that everything that happens adds to that iceberg and it will help you.
I like that. Well, that's a very good ending note. So we're going to leave it there. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.